testing now that they're able to do can really dive deep and diagnose these head injuries, these concussions, TBIs on a better level.
The Concussion Center proudly presents Talk-N-Headz, a podcast based on all things related to head injuries. This is not just a show about concussion. In this series, we take an in-depth look at the brain and its function specifically after there is trauma. Hosted by Brent Jones, Antonio Walden, and Dr. Robert Allen, Talk-N-Headz was created to give a realistic perspective to head injuries. So sit back, relax, and let us fill your head with brain knowledge.
All right, feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. One more time, it's Talk-N-Headz time. We are back with another installment of Talk-N-Headz. You have the three head honchos. You have Dr. Robert Allen, Mr. Great Hair himself, Brent Jones, and myself, Antonio. You guys doing all right today?
Yeah, man, how are you? Doing well.
Doing well, a little late, but hey, it's March Madness, so can't be mad at that.
There was a great game last night. I watched two of them.
I actually missed it, so.
Did you miss the Chattanooga game?
I went to bed. I was tired. But
sometimes we talk sports, so we always talk sports.
Yeah.
I like sports.
And then there's a brawl.
I heard about that.
Ooh, that sounds juicy.
I heard about that with the NEC game.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So I bet a couple people fell down and bumped their noggins on that one.
That's right.
Do they need the concussion center?
They might.
They may.
New York, so I don't think that.
Depends on limits.
It's all right.
Depends on limits. Oh man, well, we're so excited, as you guys can already hear and see. We have two phenomenal women sitting here with us today, powerhouses in the legal world and powerhouses as far as TBI and care for clients as well too. We've been trying to get them here with us forever, and our schedules just weren't linking up. Then magically they linked up this week. I think they kind of sort of did it so they could come here during Women's History Month.
Strategic plan with us.
I guess.
You're always thinking
That was a
ahead.
nice
Always thinking ahead.
Yes, so
Of course, I know how to play that.
we are happy to have you guys here. Looking forward to the conversation.
We're happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you
Awesome.
for having it. Like you said, it's fitting. It's Women's History Month, and you've got two female leaders here with a seat at the podcast table. Check that out.
All right, so as you guys can hear and see, we have Miss Marissa and Miss Liz here with us of the well-known Bader Scott.
Yes.
Thank you guys for coming.
Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. We are actually taking our show on the road, I think.
Yeah.
We're the dynamic duo.
Wait, are you going to use my podcast to promote your podcast?
We are going to launch our careers right
We
here.
always do plugs at the end, right? So,
For the right amount.
We don't really us.
And that was
I got $20 in my purse.
that's fine.
the amount.
That's split between the three of you, though.
Do we need for you to wait and go until you turn in your notice?
Well, no, because what we're gonna do is we're actually taking, we're going on tour.
Are we?
As directors of a law firm, so we still, we're the right lung and the left lung, and yeah, I think we should take it on the road. What do you think?
The Lungz LLC. The Lungz tour.
We're the Bader Scott dynamic duo.
Breathe that away, maybe?
Something.
The lung transplant, or something like that.
The Lungz transplant.
Oh, wow.
Sounds good. But no, thank you for having us.
No problem at all. We're happy to have you guys here. So let's jump into it. As you guys know, we are all about head injuries and head theory, getting people back well and all that good stuff. So I kind of sort of like to have all our guests start off in the same place. Talk to me about how you've seen head injuries come to the forefront, how you've seen it change, how you've seen it handled, and all that good stuff from your different points of view. I know you're on the workers' comp side, you're on the motor vehicle personal injury side, and those are similar but different. So talk to us about the similarities, talk to us about the differences, talk to us about difficulties, all that good stuff.
Love it.
I'll go first. I think regarding personal injury, and I've been in the industry for a few years, I think concussions is something that has not been given the spotlight up until recently. I know that.
You're fine. Yeah.
I know that, a few years ago, it was kind of just the same procedure, which is like go to a chiro, go to an ortho. Like nobody's asking, are you lightheaded? Do you have a headache? You know, yes, the whiplash and chiropractors were adjusting people's necks, but there was never a serious study or any type of diagnostics that I would see as a legal assistant or when I was a case manager that was really geared towards, you know, the head injury of a client. So what I've seen recently is so much more value being added when we are referring clients over to diagnostics, when we are sending them over to you guys at Temple to get these testings. So for me, it's kind of just a sense of value that I'm seeing now from before and after.
I agree with my counterpart, absolutely. But I think it's important to note that the diagnostic testing that is currently being done, such as the one that you guys have at the Concussion Center and at Temple, it's really been a game changer. Because I know I've been doing workers' comp in the workers' comp space for 15 years, and there's been an evolution because similar to what Liz said, you know, you would get an MRI or a CT scan, 90% of those things were negative because they're not designed to show, you know, on a molecular level. So what we were seeing is we were talking to our clients and they had the symptoms of TBI and concussions. You know, whether it's the speech was slurred or, you know, the memory is
lightheaded.
Right. Migraines and headaches, you know, sensitive to the light and the vision and memory loss. You know, they forgot what you just told them yesterday. So you're like, wait. So I think it's important because the testing now that they're able to do can really dive deep and diagnose these head injuries, these concussions, the TBIs on a better level. So it's important because people such as yourselves, and I know that that's why you got into space, because there wasn't that. So, you know, thank you to you guys for bringing that to the forefront and allowing us to, you know, give that to our clients. We're a client-centric business. So what I'm most proud of, and I train my team, is to identify, you know, when your client is showing those symptoms, you know, cognitive, emotional, physical, and then, you know, working up those cases to bring up the case value, making sure they're getting the right testing. And then once you get the right testing and now you're diagnosed with having a TBI or a concussion, it adds value to the case. You know, it also gives them the specialist that they need, the better treatment. They get better faster. So I think that's the evolution that I've seen throughout my years.
Yeah. Something here else that we tried to spearhead here has been on the educational side of it as well too. I know you guys have attended a couple of the educational events we put on. What other types of education have you seen that you've found value in as far as head injuries, that kind of thing?
I recently did a webinar with, I can't remember the doctor's name, but she talked about, I believe the brain is what we have, 75% water or, you know, something like that.
Dr. Allen?
Dr. Allen can ask you. So I learned, you know, that it makes sense that the MRIs and the CT scans that aren't picking up on this is because they're testing for the wrong things, right?
Yeah, MRI and CT are not looking at how a concussion is going to portray itself, right? When you look at CT, you're looking basically at structure. I mean, I think that's the same for both of them, MRI and CT. But we have new imaging technology now, right? I'm sure this is where the educational component is going, which is DTI.
DTI,
and
using
water to outline different fiber tracks in the brain, because we need to know how those fiber tracks, have they shrunk? Are they still the same size? You know, where do we see any abnormalities at that level of detail? Because it can help us understand better. Now, you know, still, like we've all talked about, we've all seen, it's not telling us specifically what's going on, but we can relate things like, hey, we did a cognitive function exam, and you have abnormalities here, 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 and we did DTI, the special image, and we see that this fiber tract is shorter, so you don't have any previous issues or anything. You know, can't say 100%, but it's pretty, you know, causation, correlation.
Right. Absolutely, causation analysis. You know, if you've got this showing that there, you know, I guess the water movement or whatever it is that you're looking at, when you have that abnormal test, and then you couple that with those other tests, you know, yes, you're not 100% sure, but the reality is that based on that, that's the reason they're having all these issues. They have head injury.
Yeah, I think that's where so Dr. Allen and I have talked about this off non-podcast talk, but where DTI, not, I wouldn't say limitations is correct, where just because it's so new, the research hasn't been, right? Where we would love to see the research show that says this specific area may correlate to cognitive disorder.
Yeah, it's we don't have the understanding behind it yet. And to be quite frank, I don't know if we will in 5 years, if we will in 10. The reason being is the brain is a very complex animal, right? Memory isn't just here, or here, it's all over, right? For example, when your patients complain of vision issues, say they got hit, in the front of the head, well, the vision centers are in the back of the head, okay? Or let's say they got hit on the side of the head.
Right.
You'd say, well, your eyes are in the front, your vision center's in the back. Well, why? It's because your eyes have to send information all the way to the back of your head, right, to get it processed and then go back up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we can't specifically say these things right now. We can't just identify a single area for a lot of these issues with the brain. And I think as our understanding grows, it's going to help in these areas. For
Absolutely, for sure.
Really help
and it's great. I know that some of the most common causes of TBI and concussions, motor vehicle accidents and, slip and falls or hitting of the head of something, which are all personal injury, usually personal injury, and those are the clients that come to us for help, and they are the ones that rely. They just know something is not right. So what we do at our law firm, we're client-centric. So everything we do is with the client in mind. So every move we make, every time we talk to them, it's something, looking for something to make them better. Whether that's, identifying the right diagnostic testing or to send them to the right specialist, or just somebody to talk to because they're scared, So that's one of the things that I'm very proud of at our law firm, both for personal injury and for workers' comp.
If you don't mind, let me ask you, with workers' comp, do you feel that the head injury portion is there like it is in personal injury now, or do you feel like it's still catching up in terms of, people recognizing it and getting management for it?
Are they on the panel?
No. They're on some panels. They're on some panels, but I think they have a long way to go still. So we are behind the beat a little bit, as you said, but I think we're making great strides. I've talked to you guys, to get into the workers' comp space, whatever I can do to help, how the system works, the process, who you need to call to get on these panels. But yeah, so I see hope. Yeah, we're definitely moving in the right direction.
I think it's important to have somebody like, you and your firm being there for the patient and forcing those things to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, being advocates.
Yeah, it's not going to change.
Absolutely. We recently had, I know we had a client that had a head injury, and in the legal team and talking to the client just knew they were showing signs, the slurring, speech and the memory and all that stuff. They had an MRI, came back negative. So of course, they offered $50,000 to settle their case. But we knew, and the client, we knew that there was just something going on. So we continue to insist on these diagnostic tests, the correct ones, I should say, and continue to, push for the insurance company, the workers' comp insurance, to make sure that the client gets tested correctly. And as a result of the correct testing, they did come back that they had a TBI and a concussion. So what I mean when I say that is that we were very instrumental in pushing that. Yep. Because we could have stopped at the negative MRI and settled for $50,000, but that's not what Baker Scott is about. We want to make sure that we, listen to our clients, we get them the best treatment, we maximize, and we go the extra mile, we maximize their recovery. If that means we're not settling today and we're going to settle, somewhere down the road, that's because it's in their best interest, we know. And we want to make sure that not only them, you got to remember that it's also affecting their family. So I think that case settled for like $2.5 million at the end of the day. So that's the rewarding part of my job. So it's important.
You said that the workers' comp side is a little bit behind the personal injury side when it comes to head injuries. What do you think is the one thing that's missing on that side that can bridge that gap?
I think the workers' comp system is not a perfect system. Everybody knows. It's not claimant friendly as much. It is made for, you're injured, get the treatment, and then you go back to work, whether it's with them or another capacity. So I think it's just the red tape of workers' comp, because different from PI, we have everything we do, we got to get authorized before. So I think that's kind of what the roadblock is. We can get past that, and they're approving more, they're authorizing them faster, then we can make some headway.
Gotcha.
You would think with some of these settlements that as they get larger and larger, they would want to advocate to get testing done.
As soon as we start talking TBI, we start talking head injury, concussion, we start throwing the word catastrophic around in workers' comp, that means life benefits.
Right.
So then that's when we start talking about this could be a catastrophic case. That means that the actual state board is going to say you have to pay them medical treatment and their income benefits for life. And some insurance, they're like, okay, I'll just go ahead and authorize that test.
Right.
Right. And I think also as time evolves, I know that you were talking about, if we're going to have the correct answers or in 5 to 10 years. So for insurance companies, it's a little harder to give pushback in workers' comp and in PI because they're not educated that much in it as well.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to say, hey, this person needed this just to make sure they were fine or just to make sure they're getting the right testing. So I think for us, it's beneficial in both PI and in workers' comp because it's just making sure that the client's all right.
Well, you bring up a good point, and that's proactive care versus reactive care. Why wait for an issue to decompensate down the road and try to deal with it then, and when we can figure it out now?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And we both of our departments, we have, training. We have a very robust training program, both of us. So we make sure, and I'm not talking about like 1 day, 2 days, weeks all year long, shadowing, actual, classroom work, testing, all that stuff. So we have a very robust training because if you train the legal team to identify those symptoms and identify when we need to push, to get the right stuff, then the client is the one that.
And it's like you said, it's all about being proactive. I don't like being reactive. Personally or with my team, let's just take care of it in the front end. Whatever happens, happens.
I have a question, just out of curiosity, because you guys have such a large firm. You guys have been operating and growing. I mean, I see the signs everywhere. Fastest growing, which is awesome. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Of the cases you do see monthly, and for both departments, what percentage, just off the top of your head, would you think these patients actually have head injuries and could use some form of evaluation? And you can shoot ballpark here. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. I would have to estimate. Because I oversee the entire department, I'm not specifically responsible for individual cases. I hear about them when they're like struggling or they need to step in.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, maybe 10-15%, maybe. And
I would say more.
Maybe more?
I would say more, and I think
more personal injury.
I think more,
Because of the head,
you're getting the dashboard or whatever the case might be.
So I think more in personal injury.
I definitely think that this is, again, something that's evolving. I would love for every client just to go get it and just make sure, they don't have a concussion. I mean, it's really hard for me to think if you're getting hit by any angle, you not getting some type of whiplash or like hitting your head up against either the window, the wheel, or the dashboard if you're the passenger.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
I was just going to ask you, you guys were talking about your training that you do throughout. Do you all specifically work with your case managers and paralegals to say, hey, when doing an intake, look for X, Y, and Z?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, we train onboarding as well. Those are the forefront people that sign up clients. So, we collaborate with every department. We collaborate with onboarding, we collaborate with facilities, HR, client success department, everyone. And that's just so that everyone is fluid and everyone is trained, and that's to provide the best client experience. So yeah, we train everyone on those things to, like what we talked about, the cognitive, the emotional, the physical things, attention to detail. If they say something, I got dizzy yesterday, ask more questions. There's questions that lead to more questions.
That's good though. I mean, that's fantastic to have such a comprehensive care approach through everybody.
Absolutely. We cross-train.
Yeah.
My file clerks are in, TBI and concussion training sessions. They're file clerks, but I cross-train. Yeah, we cross-train, our team because it's helpful. I don't want to limit anyone. We have so many growth opportunities at our law firm that you can step into another, role any day. You can create it. We just recently created a role just because it made sense.
Yep. I do want to give a shout out to you guys real quick though for hosting your event that you guys host on the weekends every now and then. Just educating, educating our staff. Getting that certification. I would love to get our team. That was awesome. So I do want to give a shout out.
She hasn't been sharing.
Yes.
to yourself?
You're not sharing, you're right.
What had happened was, I got busy. Why you tell me why you were sharing?
Right, what happened?
I honestly
I
thought
we were
that
friends after Alan. You and I had a big connection.
That's
I
right.
honestly thought if I got it to her, it got to everybody. Now that I know that that's not the case, I'll send it to 2 points of contact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
just send
I
it.
want to give it to the left lung and you have the left lung over here dying.
You're supposed to share the air.
Just
The left
remember,
lung's supposed to share the air.
I'm sorry. I
right
didn't know.
lung has 2 lobes. Left lung has 1.
I did not go to medical school.
Wait, you're the left, I'm the right.
I'm the founder.
But yes, I'll make sure we get to see. That's something we've talked about too.
Awesome. I'd love to get my
doing a
team
lot
over
more,
that. Absolutely.
a lot more
Any
consistently.
opportunity for training, for learning, for growth, personally, professionally, is a win for me.
Yeah, we bring in, so our entire clinical staff comes in, each does a different session for it, breaking out what their specialty is. But it's all the entire subject matter is around.
I love it. You train us, and we know how to identify, and we'll send them to you.
We try not to get
It's
too
a
granular
win-win.
with it, but we do talk about some of the specifics, the 6 key areas you want to look at when involving mild traumatic brain injury. So we talk about those 6 key areas, and we give some symptoms and what it sounds like from a patient, or from obviously patient for us, client for you guys, what some of the signs and symptoms are to look for. Yeah, I've had a lot of success, and for us, right, we it's free. We just want to educate the masses.
That's
because
exactly,
when we enter
same thing with us.
When we entered
work
this
together with
space, we realized the same thing that sounds like you guys had known for some time, that there was just not a lot of education around it.
Correct.
That the head injury was just being
Correct.
swept under the rug, not intentionally, but it was just people weren't really shy.
These MRI reports, CT scans are coming back negative, so,
And I'm sure that
If
the
you don't-
insurance companies love that.
of course. And if you
So then why did you continue treating?
And, right, exactly.
Still in pain.
We advocate for our clients, so we have to be educated to know, how to identify those things, so then we can get them the best care.
Well, it is difficult, and I'll speak a little bit more to it. It is difficult from the outside looking in, from maybe a State Farm, et cetera, when they're trying to evaluate and put a price tag, for lack of a better term, right, to put a value on it. A head injury, because they do go by the MRIs, et cetera, but what they're not realizing is structure versus function, which we talk about a lot here.
Right.
And what we do is look at the entire function of the system, right? If you look at structural piece, as you mentioned earlier, the statistic is dead on. It literally is 90% of MRIs and CTs come back.
See, I know something.
So,
Well, and that's the good part about it, is because the 2 of you guys outside of your profession, you guys have experience with head injuries. I know you dance, and I know you have a daughter
My
that
daughter's
cheers.
cheers.
So you guys have seen it in life. So it's not an abstract thing. I've seen this happen. Like you mentioned, you've been dropped before during
They
dance.
dropped me on the dance floor in the middle of the club. I got up so fast. Okay, nobody saw me.
That
Nobody saw
sounds
that.
like a fun night.
is that your routine or just?
No, I mean, we were just dancing on the fly, and he tried to dip me. That's why I don't like being dipped. And dropped me.
That still sounds like a fun night to me. I don't know what y'all talking
I got a
about.
whole drop, felt flat on my back.
Well,
I probably bumped my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
So,
it happens a lot in the dance scene.
And I reached out to you because my daughter, she's an all-star cheer, college cheerleader, has been cheerleading for 12 years, probably has hurt every body part. She has had flyers fall on her face. Recently, I called, I was like, I think she broke her nose. What do I do? And I'm in Mississippi. I'm in Hattiesburg, Mississippi,
Right.
texting and calling
that
him.
was the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm like, God, this kid. But, like you said, it's personal too. I mean, it's happened to me, it happened to her, and we need to know how to, it's good that I don't find people like you, because that's all I did. I picked up the phone and called you.
I know, I'll be calling Antonio for everything.
Someone will be able to help you. We are actually in the process of building a concussion center, right? I know right now specializing in personal injury. We're in the process of credentialing with insurances, and
Nice.
we haven't launched it yet. We've got a couple of them so far that we're now in network with, but we're going to wait for a handful more to come in. But then we'll be able to see patients with insurance, which opens us
I'll
up.
send an entire cheer gym.
Opens up the sports.
Rockstar cheer,
Yeah.
Rockstar cheer.
Sponsorship, we need
The
a banner to hang
Concussion
up there.
Center, Rockstar cheer.
We need to hang up banner up there.
Georgia.
The youth football association just.
There you go. Oh, I'm sure. Do you know that-
On the football field, I was like.
Well, yes, because
Yeah.
cheer is second highest injuries to football. So,
Soccer.
at soccer, that's correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have all these, I'm gonna send you all these
More
gyms.
specifically, female soccer.
Yes, oh, very much so. I
That's
believe
the-
it.
yeah, that's the
I
more
believe it.
important.
It's
I believe
the neck muscle. The neck muscles.
Yes.
are
Yeah,
biggest
so
key.
there's so much more that you guys can tap in. Yes, we're talking personal injury, workers' comp space, but like you said, there's just such a, opportunity there for, everything.
People need help.
Yeah, people need help in general.
Exactly. So I need help, because we're
What you need
running,
help with, we got you.
we're running, I know I promised you ladies 15 to 20 minutes, we're running
Wait,
out.
we're turning up
Yeah, keep talking.
Part two coming soon.
Part two coming soon.
Part
up
two,
again.
then we're just inviting.
You're more than welcome here anytime. I just need help because I'm hungry. I have not eaten today.
Oh, my goodness.
So, the grumbling is not from a headache, it's from my tummy.
From your tummy. Well,
So,
that's good to know there's no concussion or TBI there, so.
that's right. So how can people,
It is happened a long time ago, I can promise.
You got nothing to say too.
These are reciprocating symptoms.
so is that why you hired me? Not really for marketing, but to
Yeah,
be like the
Science
mascot?
experiment.
We hired you because we want to see how often you forget everything we told you.
It's an experiment.
Friends, how many of us have
You
them?
are the guinea pig, my friend. You are the
The
guinea
reason
pig.
we wear scrubs with our names on is so you can recognize us.
Absolutely. Oh,
You know what?
telling you.
I take it back.
This is
Both
turning into
of you guys' hair are horrible. Yeah, the hold is gone, the luster's gone.
Hey, the gel-
There's no bounce or
I'm
volume.
not done with the hair.
How
I
dare
do
you
love your
guys.
hair.
I'm taking my
We
compliment
don't
back.
have to read
I
you.
You know
do
what,
love your
guys?
hair. I do love your hair. I will need to have the name of the gel that you use, please.
I am going to go ahead and let the cat out the bag. Both Brent and Rob wear wigs.
It was too good to be true.
Those waves are way too perfect.
They go to the same
They're
guy that
way
does
too
LeBron
perfect.
James
Yeah,
hair.
way too perfect. Way too
Ron
perfect.
James just changed his head.
I love it. I love it.
Oh man, but how,
Hair game is behind them. We gotta step up our hair game. This is good. She did?
Yeah, she bobbed it.
Love it.
I bobbed it up.
yeah. How can people find you guys? Where do you want to be found? I should ask. Instagram, LinkedIn.
Instagram, Beta Scott.
Uh-huh.
We also have it in Espanol, Beta Scott Espanol. You can also catch us on
Abogado.
Facebook, Abogado Ocho, right? So 404-888-8888. You can see us on a bunch of billboards. I'm sure you've seen us on Telemundo, Univision,
We're about
commercials.
to blow up. We're about to take over and full dominance.
And you'll actually see us on a bunch of radio stations. So if you pull up 96.1, if you listen to the Christian station, the reggaeton
Every
station,
station.
you will see Beta Scott's name.
Absolutely.
Right
Mayor
there on the
Scott Injury
radio.
Lawyers, we have, our headquarters is on Peachtree Road, across the street from Lenox Mall. We have satellite offices in Carrollton, Norcross, Savannah.
Soon to be in Jonesboro.
Soon to be on Terra Boulevard. So we're super excited, and other locations that we're gonna be announcing shortly. So we're super excited about all of the growth. We're super excited, especially about working with you guys, because if it wasn't for the relationship that we had with you, we wouldn't be able to offer those services to our clients.
Yeah.
So we wanna thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
For everything you guys do for our clients.
Thank you so much.
And you guys do a lot of great work in the community that I've seen as well, too.
Absolutely.
We try. We do have the Beta Scott Foundation.
Yes, I'm a newly, yes, thank you, I'm a new member of the board of the Beta Scott Foundation.
Congratulations.
As of last week, so I'm very excited and honored to be a board member of the foundation, so.
I just go support.
You plan the Halloween party? Or?
Yes, we were actually instrumental in that, but as a board member now.
You've already got out here
We
for the
already,
next
we're there. You working in your costume?
Yeah.
Does it have
You saw the
anything
reboot
prepared?
right here?
I did.
The reboot of what?
Yeah. With
So, yeah.
I'll tell you after the talk.
Okay.
I'm telling you guys.
So many
More than I know
events.
who it is.
The
Right.
reboot.
So yeah, we'll have a lot of
Is it the
foundation
Power
events
Family?
as well.
Okay. Okay, cool.
The Proud Family.
Hey, what's wrong with the crowd?
Oh, but
Well, they said something about a reboot. I'm trying to guess their Halloween costume.
Good.
well, ladies,
Yes.
we appreciate your time.
No,
We appreciate
thank you.
your expertise, your knowledge.
We'll be back.
Rob and Brent, you guys have anything you want to add?
No, thanks so much for coming in.
No, we appreciate it. for
This was a lot of-
supporting us and allowing us to, be a conduit for your clients.
Yes,
and becoming our
absolutely.
patients and being able to help them out.
Absolutely. It's a partnership.
Yes.
It's a partnership
Awesome.
to help everybody in the world.
Awesome. Well, hey, everybody listening, stay tuned for part 2 of
Yes,
the Left and Right Long.
that's right. Vader Scott Dynamic Duo.
Exactly.
The Marissa and Kitty Show.
That's it for this episode of Talk-N-Headz. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Talk-N-Headz. This podcast has been brought to you by the Concussion Center. We appreciate the opportunity to fill your brain with some new information regarding head injuries. If you have any additional topics you would like us to cover, please reach out to us on our various social media platforms at the Concussion Center or hit us up on our website at concussionctr.com.